I hope you had a good holiday, because if you're spending your travels this season on Bradford City, you're not going to get your good money's worth, unfortunately, because I've got a feeling that our only two games of the season have been, our only two games that we've lost this season, apologies, have been away from home, and I think that's only going to continue. With how I've watched how we've played away from home compared to how I've watched them at home, there's a massive difference, unfortunately. But I suppose it goes to a question that would you rather be good away or good at home? And I suppose the answer will always be I'd rather be much better at home and hope that it translates to away form. But with Bradford City, we don't get what we want, and if you get what you want, it only is one thing that you want. It never really corresponds to two things. Away from home, the two defeats we've had, MK Dons an exception. I thought we stuck to our tasks well, we managed the game well. But even then, MK Dons had some great chances where they broke us down and missed some really good chances, missed sitters, tap-ins like we did today. We missed a massive one, so we came unstuck in that game itself away from home, and we just look a bit naive. We look a bit naive. I'd just say we look naive away from home, especially when we go 1-0 down, which happened against Grimsby and it's happened again today against Walsall. We don't seem to know how to react to that setback. We don't seem to know how to get a foothold in the game, and we don't seem to know how to settle back into the game. And we start slow as well, because even at 0-0, we looked a bit shaky. We weren't playing how we played last week. We weren't playing how we were against Bromley or Salford. Our performances away are very much different, and it's not a good thing either. We're not we're much easier to break down away from home. So there's a load of question marks away, and it's a strange one, because normally you say we're brilliant away, we need to translate that and get a good home form going. And I suppose the concern is with how poor we have been away from home this season. If the home form does slip away, we've started well at home so far. We should have beat Salford with a goal that went over the line. Then we beat Bromley, and we won last weekend. We've had a good start. But if that fades, then the season dips, and we've got to try and keep the momentum going. But I'm not too downhearted about the game or the performance or the result, because 6 games in, we're still in a good position, and we haven't started the season poorly. We've started the season well, if anything. To have 2 defeats from 6 is pretty solid. We're 7th. We've got 10 points. We're 3 points off 3rd, 4 places away from 3rd. And I say that because we're also 3 points away from 15th, but we're a lot of more places away from there as well. So yeah, we've had a good start, but it is concerning with the 2 defeats we've had away from home in our last 2 away games, and the performance more so than the result, because today we could have quite easily come away with a draw. We could have won. It will lack a concentration for the Danny Johnson goal from conceding a free kick, which I didn't think were a free kick. I thought the referee had a poor game throughout the game, to be honest with you. Got a number of decisions wrong, got the penalty wrong, which is another one. Smallwood sweeps in and wins the ball, and he gives a penalty for it. And the part of where I thought were sort of judging it as he didn't really know what he was doing, and he wasn't true in his convictions of giving the penalty, was if it was a penalty, like he said it was, then it's a red card. Smallwood already on a yellow card, he's coming from behind and he ain't got the ball in his eyes, so for me it must be a red card. And for me, he mustn't have been convicted in his action of giving a penalty, otherwise he would have sent Smallwood off, who didn't have a great game, to be honest with you, which I was disappointed. And when we've had setbacks this season, you look at the Walker blunder, he was straight over to Sam Walker. Sorry about my hair as well. I haven't done anything with it clearly, so I know I'm going to get a few of you going, oh, you need to gel it again. I know, it is a mess today, unfortunately. But at least I've got hair, unlike a lot of referees. It was poor, was the referee, and many decisions wrong. And the niggly decisions that annoy me, where we're going up for a header and we're getting pulled back, and we don't get it, and that's what happened with the Oliver one. But if you don't get a decision going for you, you've got to react to that, and we didn't with the Oliver free kick that led to their goal, because Poynton didn't react. Adoma has the ball on the wing, he don't get close enough to him. He's got a free cross, a player of his quality to have a free cross, it's criminal. And then Danny Johnson's got an unmarked, he's unmarked in the box, and he has a free header on sight of goal as well, which is also criminal. You've got 2 defenders marking 1 man, and neither of them seem to pick up pick him up and he's marking space. So, you know, I thought defensively we were shocking throughout the game. The pressing we got wrong countless times. We've said it this season, you know, but the pressing will look a bit, you know, we look one-sided and everything's coming down the left side. But you know, that's been a consistent problem. But the right side's also been a bit dodgy, more so when Diabate's coming to a team. And, you know, time and time again, that three at the back has, it's not done us a good service, because down those wing sides, the wing backs are getting found in behind, the balls are going consistently in behind the wide centre backs, and then they've got a 2v1 on our wing, and it always ends up by the byline, and they work into a box and they get good chances off from it. So, and it gets found out more so away from home. I think at home it suits us because it makes us more attacking, more aggressive, and it gets the fans on side, whereas when you're away from home, it's the opposite, you know, and they're up against us, and when they're pressing us and they're getting tight to us like we do at home, it's a different ball game. So I think away from home we need to be a lot more cautious, and whether we go away from the three at the back altogether is another thing. With the injuries at the back, that gives us something to think about. But I'd definitely think about getting another midfielder in there with Smallwood, because he gets completely overrun in there as well. So there's a lot to think about tactically from the game for Alexander to digest. Obviously we went to a 4-4-2 in the second half, and that's another thing, you know, straight after half time we had 20-25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of pure dominance, but we didn't create enough with it, with all the possession we had in and around their areas, with all the good positions we got into, with all the good chances that we did create. You know, Odvar missed an open goal. You know, you can't be missing chances like that. We had a chance from a corner on the back post where it's bounced around the area and we didn't get the shot off. You know, there's so many good half chances that we had that should have been goals, to be honest, and we weren't clinical enough. And if you don't take your chances, the opposition will one day get their chance, and that's what they did, unfortunately for us, which stopped us from getting a point, which we probably would have been lucky to get anyway, because, you know, the amount of times it got in behind our defence, you know, it was really, I'm really concerned about it, because we look frail, we look weak as well. We're giving away dodgy free kicks. Like I said back at the beginning of the video, naive is how I'd describe it. We do look naive, especially at the back with those young defenders. And we're looking decisive as well. You know, in the final third, we're looking decisive. Should we cross it? Should we play back? And the chance goes. We're not making quick decisions on the ball. And then defensively, I think we're probably too desperate on the ball to play forward. And we played ourselves into too many mistakes. I'll credit also for their press, that they got touch tight to us and they made it hard for us, but we played into that too often, mainly in the first half. And yeah, you know, we were poor today, and we were shocking against Grimsby. But we you know, it's getting too recurring now. We've got to bounce back next week, and I hope we do. Like I say, I have faith in Alexander to get that spark out of them, and I think he will. But it's away from home where we need to change it now. I think the other main thing as well is how we react to setbacks. Grimsby, centre-back gets injured, takes us way too long to get settled, to get comfortable, to understand partnerships. We need to adapt a lot quicker, and that's what happened again with Neil Byrne. He got injured, you know, that moment, you know, could we have brought him off quicker? Should he have confessed to being injured and not being able to play? You know, because it was his fault for giving away the penalty, for backing off, and you know, he did that because he obviously didn't have the legs to keep up to him, and it led Smallwood into making a decision that he didn't want to make, and he had to go into a challenge. So, you know, could we have brought Byrne off quicker? You know, it's about adapting, and I don't think we did that enough or quick enough in this game, unfortunately, and there are moments that will cost you. But our goal, you know, I've got to give credit to Jamie Walker, because he is phenomenal at pressing. You know, he's a pressing machine. There's no one comes close to him in the division, and I'd say his intelligence is right up there with, you know, Premier League level, if not Championship level. But I think in terms of his knowledge and his timing, just understanding when and how to press and when to engage and how to win the ball off them as well, he's second to none. He's honestly fantastic at it. You know, if you watch it from a further back angle, if there is one, from him snapping into that, you know, it's not, players don't do that. You know, he waited for him to take the heavy touch, bang, straight in, no messing about, and then the decision making to play the ball at the right time for Sanderson so he can come across it and hit it first time in the back of the net. He's ruthless in his pressing, and he's clinical with his decision making in the final third when he gets the ball from pressing them, and he did it last week, and he'll do it all season. And he's our most important player. We said it last season. We saw it last season when he got injured, and we've seen it time and time again. And his pressing, honestly, it's so underrated. And I'm glad. I was so glad when the players went over to him instead of Sanderson. You know, credit, he scored the goal. It's a good finish, but give credit to Walker for jumping in when a lot of players wouldn't. And it's about them winning the ball, because we jump in so many times down the left side, more so than any other side or any other area in the pitch. We jump into the press and then we sell ourselves short. You know, and we don't open ourselves, and you know, we just time it all wrong in terms of jumping into a press, and then they play a couple of passes and they're away. And it never happens with Walker. You know, he times it perfectly every time, and that were another good example. So great pressing from him. And unfortunately, wasn't enough to win the game as we knew. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in how we kicked on. I don't think we kicked on from scoring that enough. Obviously, the Pyro probably slowed it down. That speaks for itself. But you know, then the second half, the dominance, not taking our chances, and then switching off for the goal, giving away a penalty. You know. Key moments in games where we switch off, a bit of indecisiveness, naive with certain situations in game, tackles and giving away free kicks, and not managing the game well. So there were a lot of problems in the game, and a lot of mistakes in the game, and I feel like naive's the big word, and that's exactly what we were against Grimsby as well. So we've got to fix it up away from home, because if we don't, you know, we're going to become too easy to play against. That's for certain. But you know, it gives us a lot of pressure at home, because you know, if you're not getting your results away from home, and we're not good at home as it is in previous seasons, then it puts a lot of pressure on. But I'm not getting carried away, and you can't get carried away, good or bad, when there's only 6 games. To only lose 2, to only draw 1, to be in the top 7 after 6. You know, we've played some tough teams. I think this would have been one of those tough teams. You know, certainly on paper they've started well. But you know, you've got to make sure that you're staying in around those areas, and that's what we're doing at the minute. But we can't go on a dip, so we've got to bounce back next weekend, and we've got to see what the team's made of and the character to go and beat Wimbledon, who definitely are a tough team. You know, they got a 3-0 win against MK Dons today. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you're new, on the road to 700 subscribers. You know, I got a bit not criticism, a bit of joke in it, you know, for no humour in the last one, but I'm not in the mood to do it today. You know, I'm disappointed, I'm deflated, and yeah, you know, I'm disappointed, because you know, I'm expecting a lot better. I'm expecting us to kick on. You know, we get a good win, then we don't follow it up. You know, we haven't had 2 wins in a row yet this season in the league. You know, and that's important. We need to go on a winning run if you want to be in around that top 3 area. We're not far away from it, but we need to bounce back. And let's see what we're made of. Let's see the character. Let's see the resilience. You know, bouncing back like a rubber ball. I'm a bouncing back to you, Buddy Holly.